Welcome to Color Pencils with Jackie. Today we're going to look at something that's not a colored pencil. It's the Derwent Inktense. This box is 72. And an Inktense is an ink-based pencil. So what they've done is they've taken ink and made it into, fixed it with binders and made it into pencils. I'll just show you the set. They come in, I think they start at 12 size, 24s, 36. Probably goes 60. They might even do a 72, but this is the, this is the 72 set. So as you can see, they're lovely pencils, but you know, the colors are nice, but they're not popping out at you. It's because these are meant to be used with water. And you can use them on paper, you can use them on a number of different surfaces, but if you do them on paper, make sure it's a watercolor paper. Do some drawing, get your nice brush with some distilled water and start hitting the color with water, and you'll see it just pop and come alive. They're absolutely beautiful. What today's video is about is Lightfastness. Now the company Derwent has information on their website about how light fast they are when they're dry, but they don't have any after they've been wetted and using water and how long that's going to last. So what I decided to do is to do a little science experiment and figure it out myself. Hence the little swatches. So what I did, here I'll use this one, it's the biggest. I took some 140-pound watercolor paper, archival, and I drew up a grid, and then I did some swatching. Made sure the numbers above and below, and I cut them in half. Half went into a file folder, which then went into the bottom of my bookcase and had books on top of it, so no light was on it. It was not exposed to light for the 3 months. The other piece got to go out in the sun. I taped it to a sliding glass door in our house that has a southern exposure, and this was out taped to the window for 3 months during the summer and early fall of 2020. Ooh. So it just turned it over, put it on, got some washi tape, taped it, and it sat there being exposed to sun and heat for over 90 days actually. Then when that was done, we put them back together and we see if there's any subtle or distinct changes. And as you can probably see better than I, because it's actually more obvious on the camera than it is to your naked eye, that none of these colors changed. And you see how bright these blues are. The pencils just look all the same. You see even from the dry pencil parts on here, there's not a lot of difference, but once you put the water on it, it's like pow, it explodes with color. So looking at the blues, I'd say we did just fine. None of those blues look like they had any change over that 90-day period. And we'll go here to the blacks. Now what's interesting about a lot of these blacks is they're actually different kinds of ink. We've got Indian ink, we've got Chinese ink, we've got sepia ink, we've got just some black ink and gray charcoal ink and different types of inks. So if you want to do a bit of Japanese painting, you get out your Japanese ink one, you brush the wet brush on the pencil, and you can use it to do drawings. And it's the right kind of ink for that. So looking at the black, and black is fairly non-fugitive. Fugitive means that it's a fugitive, it runs away, the color runs away. No, the color fades over time in the sun. Yeah, it's not that funny. You can just see the little pencils running away. And we'll look at this now. The most fugitive colors tend to be reds and pinks and purples. But if we look at this section, we've got a bunch of the purples, a little bit of blues and purples, and some sort of more berry colors here. No change. one. Maybe my roommate would get me a cup of coffee since she's getting up to get herself one. We'll look at some greens. Greens, bluey greens. I mean, these are beautiful colors. I've used this on fabric as well. You use like a fabric fixative with it instead of water, and you can draw and paint all over fabric. And I've made some really cool aprons with mandalas all over them. I got a shirt, a white poly cotton shirt from Pennington's. So I'm a plus size woman, and it was just white with black drawing on it. So I got the pencils out in my fixative and just went to nuts all over them. And the fabric fixative stuff, you just get it at like Walmart or any fabric store. It's cheap as borscht. Cheap like borscht. So we're looking at the greens. Good. No fading. I think we'll do this one next. So we got some more greens and brownie greens and khaki greens.
And coffee greens.
And coffee, thank you very much. And we can see here, clicking them up and looking at the camera. No fading. This is the exposed one. This is the not exposed one. That might have faded a bit, but it held its color, so it didn't change color. It just maybe a tiniest bit of fading, but not enough to say that that pencil is not light fast. I mean, we got a lot of sun this summer. This got just nailed by the sun. So if it's lasting, it's doing great. And that one, and we've got this one here. And this is when we see, I'm just going to move that one out of the way, our first real fade. And perhaps the worst fading of all the pencils. We've got number 530 here. And there's a distinct difference between that and that. So that color would be considered not light fast to me. I would consider that a fugitive color and would not use that in anything that I want to keep or display or sell. I'm not going to sell something that's going to fade on somebody. So what I'll show you how I mark those pencils. So that's 530, and I circled it because it's definitely a fadey kind of pencil. We did those greens. I've got some, nope. Sorry, gotta get that one back. Got some yellows and some oranges here. And pretty well they maintained. This one, this number 210, may have faded a bit, but again, it's maintained its color and its color value. So I'm happy with that, because in reality, if you're going to do art and you're going to put it up on your walls, or somebody else is going to put it up on your wall, you don't put it in direct sunlight. You make sure it has the right color UV glass on it, you know, so it's protected when it's on your wall. So this is an extreme stitch for this paper and these pencils. And we'll look at the last one where we had a number of them not stand up to it. See, the orange is perfect. This sort of blacky blue is great. This red held up really well. This is the exposed side. Held up really well. This red is definitely faded. This one faded a bit, but it kept its value. So it's, we can sort of, maybe, I don't know. I would still use that in a painting. We go to the rusty browns, they're okay. This one faded quite a bit. That one, there is a bit of fading, but not a lot. This one severely faded. So I went through and I found those pencils, the 4 that I considered faded a lot. And if you have Prism, if you have the Inktense, they're number 530, which is crimson, 500, which is chili red, 510, which is cherry, and 410, which is hot red. So they're all sort of reddies and reddy brown colors. But of course, once you hit them with water, they come up pretty vibrant. So these are the ones, and what I did is I just put a bit of tape around them. I'm not going to throw them out because I just love them too much. But I want to know when I use them. So they're just in with the regular ones. I'd use those if I was coloring or doing something fun, or doing, like, if I was doing a shirt for me and I just didn't care if it faded, I would use those. You can also do runners' hats. A lot of people have been doing Inktense on masks to make pretty color face masks. Anyways, that's about it. Happy to make this video. Glad to share the information. Remember to like and to subscribe if you're interested and you want to see more. And leave comments. I like comments. Leave comments if you want more content like this. I'm happy to do this kind of stuff. It just takes time, right? And I'm happy to do these sort of experiments, but they just, you have to leave them sit for a while. And right now it's January in Canada, so, you know, it's not pretty bright. Though we're not that far from the States. We're only about 150 miles north of Seattle. And I hope you've enjoyed.